Hi everyone, I'm Alex Lai from Malaysia Global Training Center. I'm a wireless trainer. The topic that we're going to cover for today will be the MBTS GU product description. So let us have a look at the objective for today's lesson. So this is the objective that we're going to cover for today. So at the beginning of the chapter, I will introduce the different type of 3900 series base station. So some of the base station is catered for outdoor, some of the base station is catered for indoor. So we will have a look inside one by one. Followed by the next one will be the hardware structure. We will have a look at the function of each of the board contained inside the base station. Followed by the function for each of the board, the typical configuration, and how does the BTS is connected to our BSC. So this one is the content for today's lesson. So what we're going to cover, we'll have a look at the overview system, and then we will have a look at the hardware architecture, followed by the configuration, and the last part will be the networking. Now, let's say for example, we are making a call. So our phone is actually at this section, is the mobile station as well as the user equipment. So let's say for example, we are making a call. Our call consists of the voice as well as the frequency. So the frequency will bring our voice and send it to the BTS. So inside the BTS, it consists of the antenna, it consists of RF unit, and it consists of BBU. What is the function of these three units is that, first of all, it consists of the antenna. Antenna, they will receive the signal, they will receive the frequency, and they send the signal and voice frequency to the RF unit contained inside the BTS. After that, the RF unit, the function is to take out the frequency, and after that send the data to the BBU. So in another word, the BTS consists of three main components, which is the antenna, the RF unit, as well as the BBU. After they process it, they will send it to the BSC, and from the BSC, they will send it to the core network. So this one is example of all the 3900 series base station that contain inside our Huawei product. So generally for our 3900 series, we divided it into two, which is macro base station and distributed base station. What is the difference between these two is that the macro base station is the RF unit and the BBU, we put it together inside the same cabinet. So this type we known as a macro base station. Whereas distribution type on the other hand means that the RF unit and the BBU is put at two different locations. A very simple example is that the RF unit we put up at the tower, whereas the BBU we put it down at the tower. So as illustrated in these slides, here we can have a look here. The macro base station we divided into indoor, outdoor. So if it is an indoor, the base station name we know as BTS3900. If it is outdoor, it is BTS3900A. So some people might say that if let's say I need a bigger version, what should I do? So we have a bigger version as well. Let's say for example, indoor, if you need a bigger cabinet, put in more board, you can have this one. Indoor BTS3900L, L which indicates that it is a large one. How about the outdoor? Outdoor you can also have a large one, which is BTS3900AL. So all the four cabinets that shown here is for indoor and outdoor. Now, we got another different type of base stations we known as a mini base station. Mini base station, which means that all the BBU and RF we compact together and put it at a tower. This type of base station we known as BTS3900C. And the last type, which is the distributed type, which means the BBU and RF we put it at two different locations. This type of base station we known as this one, DBS3900. Now, as I mentioned just now, the 3900 consists of three main components, which is the RF unit and BBU unit. RF unit divided further into two, which is the RRU and RFU. What is the difference between these two is that RRU, it belongs to distributed type, which means that if the BBU and RF put at two different places, it known as a RRU. If they put it into the same cabinet, we know it as a RFU. So this one is the overview of the 3900 series base station. So let us have a look one by one, each type of base station. So the first type, BTS3900 Overview. So this one, it's a macro type in which the BBU and RF, we put it together and it is an indoor unit. So this one is how the cabinet looks like. Now let us have a look when we open the door, what is the thing inside. Now, when you open the BTS3900 cabinet, you will see mainly inside there got a BBU and we got a RFU. So inside the BTS3900, we normally will allocate for 1 BBU and a maximum of 6 RFU you can put it inside. And where does the BBU and RFU get the power supply? So in each of the cabinet, you will see you have one unit we known as a DCDU. What is the function of a DCDU? It's a distribution current unit. So what is the function of this one is they supply the power to the BBU and supply the power to the RF. And remember, our BTS3900 only support negative 48 volt DC current. So in case, let's say you are not using this type of current, you need to have a power rectifier to convert your power to negative 48 volt DC. So example of converter that you can use, you notice here, if you're using negative 48, you can just put DCDU. DCDU will supply the power to BBU and RF directly. In case you are using positive 24 volt DC, you need to put a PSU inside. So the function of PSU is to convert the power from positive 24 to negative 48 to the DCDU. After that, from DCDU, they supply the power to the remaining BBU board and the RFU. And the last one, if let's say, for example, the current that you are using is not DC type, it's AC type. So if you use AC type, you also require to have a PSU. In addition, you need to have a monitoring unit as well, which is PMU. So PMU and PSU work together. They convert the power AC to negative 48 volt DC, send the power to DCDU. DCTU will distribute the power to the BBU and RFU. So this one is the example of scenario where you can use the BTS3900. As I mentioned just now, this one is mainly for indoor macro base station. On the other hand, let's say now I want to put my base station outside the building. So when you want to put a base station outside the building, it belongs to outdoor. When you put it outside, of course, you need to have something known as a signal lightning protection unit. For example, during raining, during thunderstorm, you need to protect the signal. So in the BTS3900A, we got extra component we known as the signal lightning protection unit. So notice that BTS3900 is slightly different from the previous one. It consists of two doors. Okay, it consists of two doors, look like two small different cabinet. So the upper one is the one that we put the BBU. So notice that the name here is APM and TNC. What it means by this is depends on your power supply. If your power supply to the cabinet is negative 48 volt DC, this cabinet that we put the BBU inside, we know as TNC. On the other hand, if you got a power converter put inside, for example, PSU and PMU, you put it inside, this cabinet we know as APM, Advanced Power Module. So the upper portion here is the one that you put in the BBU. On the other hand, the lower portion here, the cabinet, is for you to put the RF unit, which is the RFU. So let us open the cabinet and see what is the thing inside. So when you open the cabinet up here, which is the APM, notice that inside the APM here, you got a power converter, which is this part. This part, we put in the PMU and PSU. And then this position is the BBU. And then notice that at this upper position, we got a unit we known as a SLPU, Signal Lightning Protection Unit. This unit is only available for outdoor cabinet. So we got SLPU here, we got power converter here, we got BBU at this position. On the other hand, if your cabinet did not use any power converter, so you notice that the upper portion here is the SLPU, Signal Lightning Protection Unit, and then the power converter part is totally missing. Okay, it's not present inside the cabinet, and then you got a BBU present in this position. And the below cabinet which you put for the RF, okay, notice that inside this cabinet total you can fit in a maximum of 6 RF, and inside this cabinet you consist of this unit which is the DCDU. They supply the power to your RF. And under what condition we normally use BTS3900A? When it is outdoor. Okay, notice that the outdoor macro base station. And the next part is in case the indoor you need to have a larger version, you can use BTS3900L. So compare with the average size, which is the BTS3900, BTS3900 you can fit in a maximum of 6 RFU. But in this larger version, when you open the door, If you notice here, up here you can fit in 6, down there you can fit in 6. It's something like a bigger version compared to the original BTS3900. So this BTS3900L, you can put in a maximum of 12 RFU, and the component inside here is almost similar like the BTS3900. So under what scenario you will use BTS3900L? This one is when you use it indoor and you need a bigger version. And BTS3900AL, when you need it, is outdoor, and then you need to put more RFU inside. So how many RFU you can fit it inside? Compared with the original version, which is BTS3900A, which can fit in 6, this cabinet can fit in a maximum of 9. Let us have a look here. Okay, so at this position, you notice that you can fit in a maximum of 9 RFU here. And the last one is BTS3900C. This one is the compact version in which the BBU and RF, you put it together and up at the tower. Normally, under what condition you will use this type of base station? When it is at a rural area. So this one is to show you the BBU, we put it at this position, and then this one is the RF unit. And notice that at this position, 1 BBU and then 1 RF inside the BTS3900 compact version. And under what condition you can use this compact version? It's new outdoor 3G sites such as tunnel and then hotspot places that's without the equipment room. And the last one is DBS3900. Majority of the operator is using this type of base station, in which the RF unit you put up at the tower, whereas the BBU you located at the down of the tower. Now, notice that when you got a BBU at this position, you connected directly up to the RRU. RRU is located up at the tower, and then the RRU is connected directly to the antenna. So all these 3 components is a mandatory component inside the BTS. You got a BBU, you got a RRU, and then you got an antenna. Now, of course, when you connect the RU to the antenna, in between you might have a lot of cable. For example, you need to have a feeder, you need to have a jumper, and you might need to have a TMA. So what is the function of TMA is to boost up the signal. So under what condition we will use DBS3900? Let's say, for example, at the rural coverage and then at highway, at railways. Thanks for watching.